NotebookLM has come out with some new features and they're absolutely blowing my mind. They've added mind maps and the ability to use the web right from within the tool to find new sources for you. These new features have unlocked a whole new world of use cases that can help you in your business. And in this video, I'm gonna give you my top 7 new use cases for NotebookLM. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Rick Mulready, and for the past 11 years, I've run a multi-7-figure online business, helping other online businesses grow and scale their business. And today, I run a community over on School called the AI Playbook, where I help online businesses leverage AI to streamline their business and make it more profitable. I'll link to the community in the description below. So here we are inside of NotebookLM. And for this first use case, I want to use NotebookLM's new features to create a lead magnet to grow my email list. So what I've done here is I've created a new notebook and I've uploaded a transcript of a podcast episode where I was interviewed on that particular podcast. Now, if you give talks, if you give webinars, if you do videos like this, grab the transcript, upload it here into NotebookLM. All you have to do is go to add, and then there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can upload sources. So you can upload a PDF, text file, Markdown, audio file, Google Docs. You can grab links of your website pages, YouTube videos, copy text. And then also, this is the new Discover Sources feature, which I'm going to come back to. But this is where you can search the web basically, or have NotebookLM search the web and pull up brand new sources for you that you can automatically add into your notebook here, which is really, really cool. So again, so what I've done here is I've uploaded a transcript of a particular podcast episode. So in a matter of seconds, it's created a mind map for me, and this is what it looks like. It's really, really cool. These are the topics that we talked about during the interview and introduction, journey, et cetera, et cetera. I love that it said custom GPTs, genius pre-trained transformers. Obviously, that's not what that means, but let's just see here. What we can do is click on AI learning and implementation here, and it will give me all the different topics that we talked about within that overall topic. So we talked about a whole bunch of different things. Now, this gives me some ideas as I am looking at all the different topics here. I can do the same thing for custom GPTs, and I can look at that and shrink it down a bit. And so these are all of the topics that we talked about within the topic of custom GPTs. Now, the other cool thing you can do, by the way, is let's just say that I want to go to where we talked about custom GPTs in the transcript. So all I have to do is click on that box and it will go right to where in the transcript or in the interview, we talked about custom GPTs. And this is what was said specifically about custom GPTs. Okay. So pretty cool stuff here. Now I'm going to refresh this and just get rid of that real quick. Now that I know specifically about all the topics that we talked about in that interview, let's use this to create a lead magnet. Maybe we'll create a mini email course based on all the topics that were discussed in this interview. So with that, I'm just going to type in, you're an expert online course designer, create an outline for a 5-day mini, I'm going to say email course, or I'm going to say 5-day email mini course. Based on the transcript of this podcast episode, start with beginner and move towards the intermediate topic. So I'm going to go ahead and click go. And what I'm hoping for is a pretty comprehensive outline of a day 1 through day 5 breakdown of the topics that for an email mini course here. So day 1, getting started with AI for your business. Subject line, content, introduction, cool, talking AI, the basics of prompting, cool. So I now have a pretty good outline of an email mini course that we could start to use as a lead magnet for the business, but it's not really fleshed out right now, right? So let's just say we don't want to make any changes to it. Cool. I am going to save this as a note just so we have it. And the other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, write the day 1 email teaching these concepts from day 1. A little repetitive, but let's just see what it does here. Keep in mind that this is using the Gemini model. So it's going to be a decent writer. It's not going to be amazing. So it's just written the day 1 email. And as you can see here, it is from the host of the podcast rather than me. I also don't love the email that it wrote. So I'm going to give it some So I'm going to iterate on this prompt a bit. So I've just typed in, make the email easier to read, teaching specifically the day one content, also make the email from Rick, the guest. So let's see what it does with this iteration. It's not bad, but it's written an email that I can work with, that I would probably now take this, bring it over into Claude and clean it up. But now I have the first email written of our 5-day email mini course. Now let's just say that I want to incorporate a short training video for days number 1 or day 1's content. So I've just typed in, write a 5-minute training video script teaching the day 1 content. And cool, it's just written the video script. And by the way, I see that it's given the mini course a name, AI Advantage. So I wouldn't use that, I would change that up, but pretty cool. But it's written a script. So now I have an outline for an email mini course. I have the first email written. Obviously I could go through, give it feedback and continue to write all the emails out and have it write video scripts for 5-minute training videos to accompany the email content. So within a matter of minutes, I've created what I think would be a high converting lead magnet out of a piece of content that I'd created a little while back. I just uploaded the transcript, again, asked it questions, and really got the idea of creating the email mini course based on using the mind map feature and really digging into all the different topics that were discussed during the interview. Without this, I'm a very visual person, so the mind map really helps me kind of get ideas from what I can do with this particular piece of content. For use case number 2, this is by far my favorite use case that I'm sharing with you here today, and that is if you are gathering feedback from your customers, like surveys, comments, or community discussions, for example, NotebookLM can be a game changer for you in transforming how you understand your audience. But not only that, it can give you a ton of content ideas. And that's the use case I want to share with you here today. So what you're looking at here on the screen is when new members join my AI Playbook community over on School, links in the description below, I asked them to share 3 things that they hope to get out of the community. And so what makes that so powerful is I do have to download this, by the way, into PDF format, because when I go over into, so let's do that first actually. So I'm going to download this as a PDF. I'm going to export it. I'm now going to go over into NotebookLM, create a new notebook. I'm going to click on upload a source and I'm going to choose the file, just downloaded that. And this is the PDF of that Google Sheet. So now what I can do is I can create a mind map out of the things that people are sharing when they join the community of what they want to get out of the community. Again, the reason this is so powerful is because not only is this going to give me ideas for content for the community to make sure that I am including the type of content that people want to improve the community, but also this is going to give me ideas for content for the YouTube channel here, for my email list, for any kind of content that I want to be creating to get new members in. I'm going to be looking for similarities. I'm going to be looking for gaps, etc. And that's where the mind map feature is so key. All right, so it just created the mind map in a matter of seconds. And these are the different buckets, if you will, of content that are mentioned most in that spreadsheet. Again, these are the topics that people want to get out of the community and are most interested in. I get so excited about this. Improve efficiency and productivity. I mean, I click on this and now I can see automate tasks, streamline workflows. And so now I can look at it and say, okay, am I covering all of these things really efficiently enough for what the new members are wanting out of the community? And yes, we are, by the way. Leverage AI for business growth, learn and understand AI, personal goals, specific AI applications. So let's just look at leverage AI. And so let's say customer relations, improve customer service, AI to answer emails. And because this is visual, you can really easily see what the most asked for topics from people when they're joining the community. So I can see, oh, marketing and sales, improve content creation, repurpose content, all these different things. So great. These are all content ideas. Again, if I'm not already covering them, which I am in the community, or I could say, oh, okay, let's do a generate leads email sequence in the AI Playbook email newsletter, which comes out on Sunday morning. This is a great way to use the results of your surveys, comments, community discussions, what have you, and see where there are gaps and look for opportunities for creating new content. So let's just say that I'm going to go to custom GPTs. And again, it's going to pull up all the information that people are asking about specifically when it comes to custom GPTs within my Google Sheet download here. Now, let's just say I want to create a new training for the community on custom GPTs, which I already have that in there. But let's just say hypothetically, I want to create a training because this is a commonly asked for topic and people are really interested in this. So I can look through this and say, okay, this is what people are asking for specifically. Now I can go to their new Discover feature and I can type in custom GPTs and it will go search the internet for other content around this specific topic. So I'm just going to type in here, how to get started with ChatGPT's custom GPTs. Now, this is a pretty broad search. I do recommend being as specific as possible when you use the Discover feature here. So you can see here how to create a custom GPT, Zapier. This is an OpenAI tutorial. It's a YouTube video. So cool. It's just found me a whole bunch of pretty good pieces of content. I don't love that it's pulling in something that's updated a year ago, but hey, we'll go with it. That is one thing that I wish the Discover feature did a better job of. Is I've noticed that it's really hit or miss when it comes to the quality of the sources that it's pulling in here. So like with anything that you're doing online and with AI, you're going to kind of have to kind of pick and choose what you want to consume. So let's just say that I've unchecked that one here and I want to import all 9 of these sources directly into my notebook. And now in a matter of seconds, it's done the research. I haven't had to leave NotebookLM to do the research, to bring the sources in. So it's made it way more efficient to do research. So again, I want to use this research to start outlining a training for this hypothetical training on GPT. So I don't necessarily need the community feedback in order to do this work. So I'm just going to uncheck this and I'm going to create a brand new mind map. And now this mind map is going to be only on just the custom GPTs. So I can click on this and this is the mind map here for custom GPTs on the research that we just did and automatically brought right into NotebookLM. So I can start going through here and I can look at creation. There's all the different topics here. And let's just say I want to look at the configuration tab. I can click on that, open it up. But let's just say that I want to click on it and now go to the material within the research that we just brought into NotebookLM to look at the specific material on the configuration option. So I've just cut down hours of research all within NotebookLM here using their Discover feature and also their mind map. Now I can go back and use the Discover feature again and search on something else. Let's just say that there's an aspect of custom GPTs that didn't necessarily come up in the research. I can do a brand new research and bring more sources right in, just like we did previously. For use case number 3, this is a really cool way to leverage NotebookLM's new features to do coaching call analyses. So if you're a coach or a consultant and you do coaching calls or consulting calls, I want you to grab the transcripts or the call notes or the messages, Slack messages, whatever you have with that specific client and upload them as a source directly into NotebookLM. And you can do a whole bunch of cool things with it. Check this out. So this is exactly what I've done here is I've uploaded transcripts from a coaching client that I've had for quite some time. And I want to create a mind map out of all of the transcripts, the coaching call transcripts that we've done together. Now, why do I want to do this? Well, this is going to allow me to see the specific areas that we've really been focusing on the most over the past, call it year. And also, are there areas that we need to dive more closely into based on what we're seeing here in the mind map? So when the mind map is done, it comes out like this and I can expand it. So these are all the different topics we've been discussing in our coaching calls over the past year or so. So mindset and goals, membership and offer, product services, business ops, et cetera, et cetera. So let's just say we want to look at and drill down into membership and offers. Well, I can open that up and I can look at the specific topics that we talked about as they pertain to membership and offers. So let's just say that I want to look at annual versus monthly options. Well, I can click on that. And again, it's going to bring up the material that's specific to annual versus monthly options in the coaching call transcripts. And another cool thing I could do with this use case is, and this isn't a new feature in NotebookLM, but I can go over here to the timeline option. And what this is going to do, it's going to give me a really cool timeline of our coaching together, talking about the different topics that we've discussed over a period of time. So I can just click on this. I'm going to blur this out because I want to be respectful of my client here, because these are actual client notes. But you can see here, January, February, March, undated and ongoing. And it's a really cool way to look at a journey with a coaching client. By the way, you can also give this notebook, you can share access to this notebook with your client so that they can use this basically as a GPT. So let's just say they're like, what did we talk about when we were talking about monthly versus annual options for the membership? Well, they can go in here and search all the past transcripts, and you've basically created a free GPT that's easily shareable with them in a matter of steps. For use case number 4, we're going to use NotebookLM's new features to take expert advice on whatever topic, and we're going to use that expert advice, find additional sources about that same topic, and use all of that research and NotebookLM's powerful features to help us create a content strategy in a matter of minutes. Okay, so let's just say that I want to research the best way to create YouTube shorts. And I know that there's this person, Jenny Hoyos, who is an expert in this stuff. So I grabbed a link of an interview that she did on YouTube. So I just grabbed a link on YouTube, went to add, went down here to YouTube, and pasted the link right there. Here is the overview of that video. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a mind map of all the things that are talked about in this interview with Jenny to see the types of things that I can glean of her YouTube short success. So I can break down really easily and visually all the topics that she's talking about and teaching in that video. So here you go. These are all the topics that she shares in that video. So hook generation, content strategy, content ideas, idea selection, and so forth. Let's just say I want to really dive into hook generation, and let's see what else that they said about this. So visual first, sketching, imaging. Okay, so this is great because now I have some really tangible things to add to my own strategy for creating and writing YouTube short scripts. And again, let's just say I want to dive into sketching and imagining. So I can click on that and it'll share all the things that were discussed around that specific topic from the YouTube video. So visuals are paramount for hooks, sketching as a visualization tool, et cetera, et cetera. Really cool stuff. So now in a matter of seconds, literally, I have her entire strategy and what she recommends to do to create viral shorts. I can look at this visually. Now let's just say I'm going to bring in a whole bunch of other sources about best practices for creating viral shorts. Well, this is again where I can use the Discover feature, and I want to type in what are the best practices for making viral YouTube shorts. Should probably capitalize that. Click submit. It's going to do its research. It's going to come up with about 10 sources. Usually the 10 is the max. And I can look at how to make YouTube shorts, 21 tips to go viral. Okay, cool. Most of these are YouTube videos. Then we have a HubSpot video. Awesome. I'm going to click on import. And now I have 11 total really solid sources for best practices for creating YouTube shorts that go viral. And again, I can come back up here, create a new mind map with all the new information here and start to dig into that. So I can click on this. And now I can look at, all right, so again, hook strategy is obviously something that's super important. I can click into that. And now it'll give me a whole bunch of new topics around hook strategies compared to what we saw with Jenny's video. The other cool thing you can do with, or another cool thing I should say that you can do with this is I can compare what Jenny is teaching from that video to all this other content here. So let's try to do that. So I've just typed in here, I want you to give me a master outline of the best practices for creating viral YouTube shorts. So we already have the mind map from just Jenny's video. Then we have the mind map for all the content here. Now I'm asking it to give me a master outline of the best practices. So it's done that right here. So now what I can do with this is I can save this to a note. And so it's going to show up on the right-hand side here. I can click on it to open it up, go to the bottom, and it's going to say convert to source. So I can convert it to a source, and now it's just been included in my list of sources here. So now what I can do with this is I can unselect all the sources. I can just select that specific source that we just created, this our master outline here. And now I can create a mind map of the master outline. And here's the mind map that is just created basically out of the Mastering Viral YouTube Shorts, a creator's guide. And again, I have a nice visual of all this content here. Now, I will say one thing that I wish you could do with the mind map is customize it or personalize it in any way. Now, just like when the audio overview came out in NotebookLM, you couldn't manipulate, you couldn't customize it in any way, and now you can. I hope they do the same thing for the mind map feature, because as cool as it is, I wish that I could move things around and just manipulate it and personalize it for how I want to be doing something. We'll see if that comes out. For use case number 5, this is another one of my favorites. We are going to use NotebookLM to reduce churn in our membership. So we're going to use the exact same PDF download that we used before that contains all the feedback for what people want to get out of the community when they join the AI playbook. And we're going to use that to create an onboarding sequence for the membership with the goal of reducing churn. And again, this is another creative way to use NotebookLM's new features if you've got a membership, for example. So I'm going to create a brand new notebook, create new, upload sources, choose the file. And this is that PDF, the same one as before. And now I want to go up to the Discover option, and I want to research some materials, some sources around creating a highly effective onboarding sequence for online memberships. So I've just typed in here, best practices for lowering churn through highly effective email onboarding sequences for online memberships. Click on submit. I don't love that prompt itself, but let's see what it comes up with. So again, it's giving me 10 sources here, and just skimming through. Again, I don't recognize any of these sources, which, going back to what I talked about before, is I don't love that, right? It tends to bring up the most random sources at times, depending on what you're looking at. Now, granted, we did have YouTube and stuff before and Reddit, but for this one here, I don't know any of these things. But the topics being discussed are relevant to what we're looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and click on import. Now I've just strengthened this notebook with a whole bunch of new research around onboarding best practices for an online membership. And again, don't forget, we have our feedback from all the new members coming into the membership. I want to see what this looks like in a mind map. So it's broken it out into 3 main topics: onboarding process, customer retention. So let's just look at onboarding process. Emails, fair question, depends on new member experience, goals of onboarding emails. Okay. Email content examples, best practices. Let's look at best practices. All right. So it's giving me some good information here. I actually like this a lot. It's pretty thorough. So now what I can do here is I can ask NotebookLM, and again, this isn't a new feature, but I can ask NotebookLM based on all the onboarding best practices being discussed here in the sources, write me or outline me a 14-day email onboarding sequence for my online membership based on the things that our new members coming into the membership are wanting. So I've just written this prompt here telling it that it is a world-class email marketing strategist with a deep knowledge of onboarding and retention psychology for memberships, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just kind of outlining what I wanted to do. And again, I'm at the bottom and telling it, use the best practices in onboarding and retention that are found in the other sources when doing this task. And it's just outlined basically. It hasn't really written the actual email, so I'll have to dial that in, but it's outlined a 14-day email onboarding sequence for the membership, all with the goal of reducing churn, because a person's first experience with a membership is so important at reducing churn, right? And I made this so much easier using NotebookLM's new features here, especially the Discover Sources option, because I was able to very easily and quickly bring in all this research around onboarding and retention best practices. For use case number 6 here, we're going to use NotebookLM to map out a content strategy. Specifically, these new features, the Discover feature and the Mind Map feature, are going to be key because we're going to be able to see relationships between content that we've already done and show opportunities for new content that we can be creating. So as you can see here in this notebook I've created, I brought in a whole bunch of videos from my channel here. It's not all of them, but I brought in like 20 or so. into a new notebook. Now what I can do, first of all, I can mind map this so that I can get a visual representation in a really quick view of the different topics we've been talking about here on the channel. So I can click on mind map. This shows the different topics that I've been talking about here on the channel amongst 22 different videos. Again, not all videos, but I can look at content creation and repurposing. And again, I can click on this and I can look at, oh, these are the things I've already talked about. What are some gaps here that are opportunities for new content that I might be able to look into? Automation and productivity. I can click on this and look at all the different topics, again, tools I've talked about here on the channel, etc. And so that's cool, right? But now what I can do is I can use NotebookLM here to search for new topics based on the ones I've already talked about. So the prompt I used was, your job is to find new YouTube video topics that align with my current content that, but yet I've not specifically talked about in my channel. And it did a pretty good job of that, coming up with some ideas. It even gave me video title ideas. So this is another great use case of the Discover Sources feature. So let's just say I want to research more on AI in 2025 and beyond. So I can go ahead and click on Discover, put that in here, click on Submit, and it's going to go do the research for me. And just like we've done in the past use cases here, I can grab all these things here and skim through. Again, I've not heard of any of the, or I've heard a couple of these, WordStream, Forbes. Okay, so I can click on Import. And again, I can check sources, I can uncheck sources to create new mind maps and so forth, just by copying and pasting YouTube video URLs from my channel into the notebook here, using the mind map feature to look at the different topics I've already been talking about, and then using the AI, the Gemini AI model built into NotebookLM to do research and give me new ideas. So now I can use that research to start to flesh out this particular AI in 2025 and beyond topic. And eventually I can use that to create a video outline, a script outline, and then move that into a script. So I just did all this stuff in a matter of minutes, making it super, super easy. For use case number 7, we're going to use NotebookLM and especially the mind map feature for this use case to optimize your sales calls. Now I've used this exact use case in a previous NotebookLM video here on the channel, but it is way better now because we have this mind map feature and also the Discover Sources feature. So you can upload transcripts of both successful and unsuccessful sales calls. So if you're doing sales calls and you're not recording them, obviously with permission, and transcribing them, you're missing a huge opportunity to optimize your sales. So upload your transcripts of both successful and unsuccessful sales calls, and we can use NotebookLM to look at why sales calls were successful, and also to analyze and optimize the unsuccessful sales calls really, really easily. So check this out. So I've uploaded these two types of transcripts here into NotebookLM. And the first thing I want to do is I want to create a mind map so that I can see visually the differences, what's happening in the successful sales calls versus what is not happening, or maybe what is happening in the unsuccessful sales calls visually. All right, so it breaks it out really easily. I can expand now on the successful sales calls and also the unsuccessful sales call transcripts. So what's happening in the successful ones? Building trust and urgency, highlighting results and value, overcoming objections and emphasizing commitment. And the unsuccessful sales calls, so there's price objection without overcoming the price objection. There's a lack of urgency and unclear pain points. So let's just say we want to dive into the unclear pain points. Well, now it breaks each of these points down that is going on in these unsuccessful sales calls. So I can clearly see in the sales call here, whether it's your sales team or whether it's you doing the sales calls or what have you, oh, there's a lack of clarity in the offer, for example, to the prospect. Or as you can see up here, the prospect is uncertain about their goals. So these are all opportunities for you to create an action plan to handle and improve upon these unsuccessful sales calls. Similarly, let's look at why the successful sales calls are successful. So there's a building trust and urgency in here. And let's look at the topics that are being discussed. So understanding prospect needs, highlighting common challenges, et cetera, highlighting ROI, highlighting results and value. So I can visually see really easily all the different things that are happening in the successful sales calls compared to the unsuccessful sales calls. So again, I can use NotebookLM here to compare and contrast what's going on in the successful and unsuccessful sales call transcripts right here in the chat box if I want to. So I can click on this pre-done option here, what key differences emerge. So again, if I want to create an action plan for my sales team or even for myself, for example, to improve sales effectiveness, this is a super easy way to do it. So it's just on this really cool analysis, really fast, by the way, on the differences between what's going on in the unsuccessful sales calls versus the successful sales calls. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. And then lastly, again, I can use the Discover feature if I want to look at what are the best practices of successful sales calls for online businesses. And again, I can bring all the sources in there and I can create a full-on action plan to improve sales, because not only do I have examples of successful sales call transcripts, but I can also really easily bring in research and other sources to create this action plan. All right, so there you have it, 7 mind-blowing use cases of NotebookLM and using their new features for online businesses. Again, if you are an online business and you want to leverage AI so that you can streamline and increase profit, join us in the AI Playbook community. The link is in the description below. Look forward to seeing you in there and look forward to seeing you in the next video.